Okay guys, this is an update on my 2023 rootstock. So these rootstocks, I picked it up in early 2003. I grew them out, and well, a few I put in the ground, but most of them had stayed in a pot for the first year. And then in 2024, earlier this year, I put it into the ground. So some of them has been in the ground longer, some of them hasn't. I have liked the growth I get, at least in the first early stages of being in a pot. The first couple of years, I get better growth in a pot. The first is in the ground, so put it in the ground. I chopped it to about right here, and I started grafting some stuff. This is the first one. This has M4, so this are M4 immature M4 scion seedlings from scions from seedlings, so they have not flowered yet. So I'm trying to get a lot more better growth on that. Hasn't grown as vigorously as I like, but we'll see what happens. I still have these 3 branches, which is part of the rootstock, and I plan to eventually graft this over with more M4 in 2025. So okay, here's the next one. This one I had a bit of an issue with this one early in the year. It looked like it was going to die. There was like pretty much an infection in the trunk. Used some pretty strong fungicide and try to seal off the wound. So it's looking better now. So if this survives this winter, I'm going to do some major grafting on it. I do a graft here just to kind of throw something on here, but I wasn't looking forward to doing too many because I wasn't sure how I was going to handle this winter, considering I almost died last winter. Okay, let's keep on going. Okay, and this one is one of my more favorite tree. I got about 5 different seedling scions on this. So I grafted them pretty much about the same time, or within like 2 weeks of each other, except for the last one. And you see, this one has been the most vigorous. So this seedling has been the most vigorous one out of all of it, even the ones I have in the pots. These are all lemon zest seedlings. This one has my favorite Indian spice flavor. Very strong in terms of the smell on the leaves. This one that you see flushing back here is a lemon zest seedling, but it has no citrus smell to the leaves. It's more just classic flavored. This is another Indian spice flavored one, and another Indian spice flavored one. I tried to graft a clone of the lemon zest right here. It looks like it took, but we're in the middle. I mean, it was still pretty late grafting. We're kind of getting into a cold season, so I'm not sure how much of it's gonna push, or even if it survives into next year. But this is what I was working on in terms of grafting. They're like toothpick size grafts toothpick size scions that used a bark graft on, and they have done really well. Like they are starting like this size, and look at this one, healed really nice, and look at the size of the scion. Same thing with this. So very, very happy with this. So if things work out right, this tree will have, when it eventually fruits, have 4 or 5 new fruits, new varieties, or at least something no one's kind of tasted before. So it'd be very fun to see what happens with this. Okay, so this is my next one. And guys, don't mind the blue bags. Those are coffee grounds, which I am intending to kind of spread all over the place. So this one's shaping out pretty well, despite my failed attempts on it. I didn't fail. They're still green, but I don't know. It doesn't look like it's gonna do anything. We'll see what happens. If it does, that'd be great. If not, then I'm gonna be grafting these 3 limbs early next spring. Not sure what I'll be using yet. I think I might be using more seedlings and see what it does on it. Okay. Here's the next one. So what I got on here is sugarloaf. So this is sugarloaf grafted. Trying to see if I get a bit more vertical growing on the sugarloaf. It flushed twice. It's been pretty vertical so far. Versus kind of like my turpentine ones, which is a bit more floppy. So and behind it, I'm sorry, did I say sugar? I meant coconut cream. So this is coconut cream. These two in the front right here. Coconut cream. And the sugarloaf is back here. So sugarloaf hasn't grown. It's been slower to push than the coconut cream. But I'm hoping this coconut cream will give me quite a few more growth next year. And see how it goes. Okay, here's the next one. And this one, I attempted a few kind of grafts with some scions, like right here. They were banging a poly. Science wasn't that great. They were tiny, but it didn't take. But this is kind of growing. I haven't really pruned it, touched it, or anything like that. So next year I'm gonna do the pruning and grafting at the same times. Let's keep on going. So this right here is grafts of various seedling sweet tart, but the ones I have identified as the clones of the seedlings. So, but they all came from different sources. I mean, different seedling sources. It's not the same plant, seedling plant that came from, but there's like 2 grafts here, 2 grafts here, and it has grown really nicely. Look at the size of this. I imagine if it doesn't bloom this year, by next year it's gonna be pretty tall. So I really like this one. See how it goes. It's actually the seedling clones of it. It's looking really good, looking really nice, really healthy, really vertical kind of branching. So these were grafted with immature seedlings of sweet tart, but the sweet tart that has been identified as the clones, which was pretty easy in this case because I took it off of the seedlings that I was able to clearly identify the pollinated / zygotic plant from it, and those were easy to identify because they had very distinguishing leaf smell that was not related to sweet tart. For example, they smell very Indian spice versus sweet tart that didn't. So it made it easy to identify them and then identify the pollinated one, and then therefore identify the clones. All right, this is the next one. This one will be grafted over next year. Kind of chopped it down to about here. Started branching. I'm not sure what I'll be using yet, but mostly it's going to be most likely very good name varieties. I don't think I'll be doing any kind of seedling grafts on this one, just because this section of the yard is a little bit compact. Like I got trees here and there, so I don't mind if I graft a mature scion and then it kind of blooms. It kind of maybe not grow as quickly, just because there's not much space on this side. So I will be grafting this over in next year. I got 3 good sized branches here and a few branches on the bottom. We'll see. Haven't decided which varieties yet. Okay, up next, this one I have grafted over Bennett Alfonso. Here's the Bennett Alfonso right here. Got another one much lower, and there's this one I put in the ground this year. Nice sized trunk. This one was from last year, which I put in, and it hasn't really grown. Last year it didn't really grow that well. It's growing a little bit better this year, so that's why I kind of put it both next to each other. And this year I was planning to take this out, but then I don't want to baby it, you know, so I just put another tree right next to it. If anything, I could just cut it down. It doesn't, if I don't like it. So again, back to this, grafted with Bennett Alfonso. Up here is grafted with regular Alfonso, and this is a Sun Paris, which is a selection from the Indian breeding program, a selection of an Alfonso seedling cross hybrid. So let's see. Again, these late grafts, I get these tiny leaves and they don't do that well. We'll see. As long as this graft survives until next spring and so forth, I'll be happy. And then I have not grafted these over yet. This other seedling that's by it, it's a little bit weak. You see, kind of a little bit weak. So I'm not even sure what to do with it. I think I'm gonna chop it down much lower. Not too concerned about these branching that's too high. I might chop it down lower to get a bit more steady on it. It's a bit too weepy. Alright, well, that's an update of my 2023 Verne Manila rootstocks. And if you guys are kind of, you know, doing your project for the first time, this will be a good kind of series to follow, because you guys could look at the older videos, look at how I started off with the seedlings and where it's at now and what it's going to end up looking like in the next couple years. All right, thanks guys.